Hello there, thanks very much for joining me again. This week I'm going to attempt a variation of the Claret Dabbler. Now, the hook I have in the vise is a Hanak H200 barbless hook at size 12. As you can see, it's a heavy wire hook, which is ideal for a pulling fly like the Dabbler. And the thread I'm going to be using today is it's fish on, and it's ultimate tying silk, and this is the steel grey. First thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of super glue to the shank of the hook and just get a bed of thread on. So I've started just about a millimetre or so back, and I'm just going to bring my thread to the back of the hook, so just in line with where a barb would be on a barbed hook. And I can come in with my snips and remove my waste. Okay, so the tail feathers for this fly are going to be mallard. Now, I like the really dark mallard, but it's very difficult to get, and this is pretty much, I've got two feathers here, and this is the last of my nearly dark enough sort of feathers. So what I'm going to do is remove the bottom few strands. I don't want them. So what I'm left with, and you can see here, is the really nice barbed mallard feathers at the back. So I'm going to take about the width of my thumbnail's worth. I've just ripped it straight off the stalk, and what I'm going to do with this is fold it in half, in on itself, so the outside of the feathers come to the rear. I'm going to marry them up as best I can, and then I'm going to dress it up to the shank of the hook, and you can see it's protruding maybe a centimetre behind the hook, which is ideal. Then I can pinch that into place. Just check the length of the hook before you come down, and that looks okay. So I'm going to remove my waist, just tidy this up at the front and come back to the rear. Now what I'm going to do is make a loop around, come under my bend, and I'm going to catch that in. And that just makes the tail sit up a little bit to the shank. Okay, for the body of this fly, traditionally you would use seal's fur and palmer, but I'm going to use some straggle fritz. So what I've got here is some claret straggle fritz, and it has some silver running through it. Now, I don't think you can get this any longer. This came from a company called The Big Reel, maybe 10 years or so ago, and I've still got this, and this is what I tie my Claret Dabblers with, but I'm not sure it's available. But there is other claret straggle on the market that you can use. I've just caught the tip in there, and I'm going to come all the way up to about 1/8 of an inch from the front of the hook. You need quite a lot of space at the front here for this fly, so don't leave yourself short. As I'm wrapping this, each turn I'm going to come in with my thumb and forefinger in my left hand and simply stroke back the fibres. I want all them fibres loose, not trapped under the body. So just keep, every turn, stroke it back. And when you get near the end, will I get another turn in there? Maybe one more. There we go. So when you got to the end, catch in with your thread. Sorry, it's getting wrapped around the bobbin here. And then once that's done, a couple of turns in front, and then you can remove this without worrying about it pinging back on you, like so. Okay. For years actually I was really fearful of tying these flies because I just couldn't get them the way I wanted them, and it's taken a long time for me to have the courage to actually tie my own. I've always known they're effective flies, but I'd always get someone else to tie them for me. But I'm doing them myself now. So the first thing I'm going to do is invert my vise. And I'll just lock that off. So I'm going to get some wax on my thread. And this is more for the benefit of gripping the materials at this point. So the throat hackle is the same, it's dark mallard. And I'm going to use the same feather that I used for my tail. Again, I'm going to grab about a thumb's worth, pull it off, marry it all up, and again I'm going to fold this in half, like so. So I've got this, and when I dress it up to the hook, I want it almost touching the bend. So I'm going to grab it. Sorry, my fingers may be in the way, but there's no other way around it, I'm afraid. And I'm going to catch it with a couple of turns, like so. Now, I'm going to then bring my waist to the rear and get a couple of turns in front. What I can do now is carefully remove my waist. There we go. Then I can put my vise the right way round. Bring everything back and get ready for the top wing. Okay, so I've run out of feather now on this. Well, I probably could, but it would be a very sparse looking dabbler. I like mine quite thick and bushy, so I've got the last feather, so if I make a mess of this, you won't be seeing another one of these. So I've removed the waist. I'm going to grab a very generous pinch. As you can see here, I've taken off quite a lot because I want it quite heavily cloaked. So again, I'm going to come in with my fingers and fold it in half, like so. Now with the wing, I like it to be slightly longer than the tail. Millimeters I'm talking here. So dress it up on top. So you can probably see that I've got my finger resting against the eye of the hook, and the remainder of the mallard is sitting in my fingers. I'm now going to use my thumb and forefinger in my left hand to roll that round the shank, come over the top and catch in my wing. Now, I'm just going to open up and have a look at what you're seeing. It's not too bad, but I am going to undo it because I want it to roll a bit more round the fly. So if you're not happy with something, just undo it because it will sit and play on your mind. So go back until you get happy. Yep, that's much better. Okay, I can lock that off again. And as I did with the throat, I'm going to come to the front, get a few wraps in, then with my snips I'm going to carefully remove as much of the waist as I can, like so. Okay, so that's looking average actually. I would say it's not my best work, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to achieve here. So next I'm going to tidy up my head a little bit. Doesn't take much, a few turns. And with this fly, for a bit of fun, I'm going to add a couple of jungle cock eyes. So I've selected a couple of feathers from this jungle cock cape here, and as you'll notice, I've already stripped back the waist feathers at the edge. So I'm going to just dress that up to the hook, hopefully catch that in just right. I'll just open my vise to have a look. Yeah, it's okay. Then the other feather, which is of a similar size, I've stripped away the edge, and I'm going to dress that up as well. Now, a lot of people use uni threads for tying these. I find that they're just too thick, and you need a strong thread, and that's why I like the Ultimate Time Silk for this particular pattern. There's one of the throat hackle fibres there just refusing to behave for me. I'll be telling it off proper in a minute. So once you've got that in place, you can then finish up your head. Now if you're of a mind to, and I'm not going to because I like this colour, but I could use a pro marker to colour my thread at this point with henna, brown, or black or red, whatever colour takes your fancy really, but I'm going to keep it as is. And to finish up, I'm going to use some UV resin on my thread. And then I can come in and I'm working towards the front of the hook, back again, just to get that nice head. Then I'm going to put a half hitch in and another one for safekeeping, and then I can snap my thread buried inside the head and then cure off the UV resin. Now, what I would do once I'd finished here is I'd put it on a fly stand and then I would run it under a tap, a cold water tap. And what that does is just gets the fly all slicked back, and the fly you see in the picture is this actual fly, but I've just prepared it for taking the photograph. And then once it's dried, after being wet, I would come in with my brush and just titivate the whole thing up before the photograph. Now, as I said, I prefer the much darker mallard feathers for my dabblers. People might like them lighter, and I generally like them a bit heavier dressed than this. But you get the general idea. I hope it's helpful to some people. It has been asked for me to do this, so I've given it a go. Not the easiest fly for me to demonstrate. David McPhail probably does a much better version if you want to have a wee search for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. That's how to do it.